President Trump just tweeted again on the hearing. He said this: it was never agreed that Robert Mueller could use one of his many Democrat never-Trumper lawyers to sit next to him and help him with his answers. This was specifically not agreed to, and I would never have agreed to it. The greatest witch hunt in U.S. history by far. Joining us right now is Arizona Congressman, House Judiciary Committee member, and House Freedom Caucus member Andy Biggs. Congressman, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Marie. Good to be with you.
Can you give us your sense of what you want to get from Mueller? I mean, he says he's going to stick to the report. What do you think the Judiciary Committee needs to ask?
Well, we need to get to the origins of this report, the conflicts that Mr. Mueller had. We need to find out when he determined that there was no coordination, collusion, and conspiracy with the Russians. So those are important things. And, you know, he's going to try to limit his testimony, but he's a subpoenaed witness. And he doesn't have the right to come in and just say, well, I'm going to only answer questions I want to answer. Unless he's going to assert some kind of privilege, then I expect him to answer every question that's put to him today, including the ones that I just told you, that in areas that I think we need to.
So he's going to be asked then about the Steele dossier. What he did in terms of when he found that Steele dossier, when he looked at it, what it did in terms of his Mueller report. How much of that is in it?
Oh, absolutely right. And the origins of that, why he continued to get FISA warrants, why he stopped getting FISA warrants. All of these things are so important because they flesh out what was not put into the Mueller report. And we'll see how it goes. But I think on one hand it could be potentially a big dud, because if the chairman allows him to just say, well, I'm not going to answer that because it's not in my report, then it's going to be basically a dud for both sides. Both sides aren't going to get what they want to know, and the American people are going to be left in the dark on this.
Congressman, Bob Mueller has previously said that the report is his testimony, and he plans to submit the full report as his opening statement, with putting an exclamation point on that. But do the Republicans, yourself included, run the risk that if you hammer him on questions that he clearly is not willing to answer, that you look bad and that you overplay your hand?
Well, it has to be done in a certain way, Dagan. You're exactly right. And I think we need to ask the questions, because we need to also show that Mr. Mueller won't answer questions that I think all of us want to know. And when I say all of us, let's just face it, most of America has gotten over the Mueller thing. But those of us who are still involved in this, we really want to know answers to questions like origins. When did you know that there was no conspiracy? The FISA issues. I mean, these things we want to know, and if he's not going to answer them, then we're going to make him say that out loud.
Yeah,
I'm not going to answer
so what
those
about
questions.
that, Bud Cummings? I mean, Robert Mueller takes over in May of 2017. May of 17. You got a whole year and a half. Then you have the midterm elections. When do you think he figured out that there was no collusion?
Well, I'm looking to when he quit getting FISA warrants, and that was in the fall there of 17. So I think he knew pretty early on that certain areas of this were not going to go directly to Russian collusion or conspiracy, and that he switched his direction. He started looking at 10-year-old tax beefs for Paul Manafort, 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And I mean, so at some point they switched their focus and really expanded their scope and stopped looking at Russian conspiracy with the Trump campaign.
I want to ask you about Joseph Misfit in a second, because we've done a lot of reporting on this guy. But first, we've got former U.S. Attorney Bud Cummings on the set this morning. Bud.
Well, I thought the congressman made a good point. I do anticipate that if you ask him those questions about things that aren't in the report, about the origin and the investigation, that he's going to try and say, well, I'm a prosecutor, or, you know, those are confidential matters and it's not in the report. But you make a good point, because everything that's in the report is not supposed to be public. So where does he draw that line? That this report should not be public, Congressman. So how does he say, well, I'm only going to address things in the report and not other things, because he really can't defend the fact that we're all going to be reading aloud from this report today. It shouldn't be in the public domain.
Well, you're exactly right. And so the Democrats are going to turn it into a reader's theater, which I don't think makes for good television, if you want the truth. And then Mr. Mueller is going to try to say, look, I just did what I had to do. he's going to, one hand, he's going to say this was unique, which is why we published this. On the other hand, he's going to say this is unique, so that's why I can't answer any questions beyond the report and what I told you. So he's going to try to have it both ways, I think, and I don't think that's going to play very well for either side.
Meanwhile, AG Barr has John Durham investigating this, and Durham's team is now looking to interview Joseph Mifsud, according to John Solomon from The Hill. Mifsud tasked with giving former Trump campaign aide George Papadopoulos access to Russian intelligence. Basically, George Papadopoulos met Mifsud in Rome, and Mifsud drops a bomb in his lap by saying the Russians had Hillary Clinton's emails. Back in May, I spoke with George Papadopoulos and asked him about that meeting with Mifsud in Rome. So he tells you Russia has emails of Hillary Clinton's, and this is the bomb that you feel was the whole reason that they wanted you to go to Rome to meet him, because they wanted him to tell you about these emails that Russia had of Hillary Clinton. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. I think this person was some sort of plant.
They wanted you to go back and tell Trump about Russia having Hillary Clinton emails. Did you do that?
Absolutely not. That wasn't my job.
So you told the FBI you believe you met him in March when, in fact, you met him in April, and that was the perjury. So you went to jail for what? How many nights?
I went to jail for 11 nights because of this. After I had honeypots, money thrown my way, wiretaps, surveillance by foreign countries, and then I finally get caught in some perjury trap, and I go to jail for 11 nights. It was ridiculous.
And you feel that this was entrapment?
Absolutely. I feel it was entrapment, and I'm very happy to see Congressman Devin Nunes and the letter that he sent to Secretary Pompeo and Gina Haspel to get more information on this person, Mifsud, because if it's indeed proven that this person was really entrapping me, not even spying on me, and then there was a coordinated effort between these other various intelligence agencies, including the DIA and Australians, to extract this fake information and then spy on me with another honeypot in London with Halper. This thing reeks of spying, entrapment, and illegal and illicit behavior.
So, Congressman, real quick, what is the significance of finding out that Joseph Mifsud actually worked for the FBI?
The significance is that this was the incident that started this whole wretched affair, and Mifsud is working for the FBI, and we need to know why he was working there and why they set up Papadopoulos. I mean, because it looks like an absolute setup based on everything that we've seen, both publicly and behind closed doors, and it looks like a setup to me. And you know, if this whole thing was started with bad, false motives and intentions on the part of some people in our federal government, imagine what that does to a free republic, a constitutional republic like we have. We've got to stop that, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Maria.
Congressman Andy Biggs.